The following is intended only for mature audiences. Discretion advised.
This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Now your host of DR2M, the Jock.
Well, I'm an idiot.
And Double J.
Oh, there's not enough liquor and therapy in the world to undo that. Oh, I touched my mother's dildo.
And welcome to another edition of DR2M, a podcast that isn't your average podcast. I'm your host, the Jock, and today we're calling a little bit of an audible. We've got my cousin, my friend, my cohort, if you will, the guy who sat there and had this vision with me to set up the Detroit Sports Podcasting Network, my cousin, the Doc, John Macaroon. What's going on, John?
Thank you for having me on your other podcast. I guess to stick with tradition, there's really nothing in my mouth because you don't ever bring anything for me to drink. So you come to the studio empty-handed with 5-6 water jugs. So I can't be drinking, no Cavassier, no Hennessy, no beer, not even water. So I'm sitting here with nothing in my mouth, unfortunately.
Look, this was an impromptu audible. If I would have knew ahead of time, I'd have sat there and I'd have brought you a fifth of whatever it is that you liked. I mean, look, I got a bottle of Moet at home. I could have sat there and we could have popped corks and we could have christened this podcast the right way. But I didn't know. So I was lucky enough to sit there and you were able to have some time for me. So we were able to sit there and fit this in. And hey, look, man, we're going to rock it till the wheels fall off. This is going to be a good episode. This is episode 10. We're going to take a look at a brutal moment in one man's life and how he got his 15 seconds of fame. We'll also take a look at some protests going on in the Detroit area. And we're going to finish the show off discussing things that absolutely suck, at least in my life. First, I want to know if you heard this audio from Chris Jericho where he basically takes Hurricane Irma to the mat.
Irma, you know what happens, Irma? When you aren't as big as I was told you were. You know what happens, Irma? When you damage a bunch of things and keep a lot of people out of their houses. You know what happens, Irma? You know what happens, Hurricane Irma? Huh? You know what happens? You just made the list!
No, I did not hear that. That's kind of funny. But
good old Chris Jericho.
My goodness, man. I was kind of fascinated this week in terms of people that are brave enough to stand out there during a hurricane. Oh my gosh. You couldn't pay me enough to be a weather reporter to stand out there and cover and report on a hurricane. Dude, seriously, hazard pay, don't die. I mean, someone released some memos that were from a television station, and the memo was, look, don't die. We're in a hiring freeze, so we can't replace you.
Let's go live to Ollie Williams with the Black U Weather Report. Ollie?
It's raining sideways.
Sounds rough, Ollie. Do you have an umbrella?
Had one.
Where is it?
Inside out 2 miles away.
Is there anything we can do for you?
Bring me some soup.
What kind?
Chunky.
So that's where we're at now in terms of what people are saying to each other in terms of colleagues. But Irma, man, for those that braved it, when they start announcing it's time to evacuate, before they even finish the syllables, I'm out the door in the car, I'm getting the hell out of there. I give people credit that try and brave stuff like that, but Irma, that devastating level 5 hurricane, oh my God.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely nuts, man. I was watching CNN while I was at the gym, and you just had like reporters basically getting anchored down to something so they wouldn't get blown away. It blew my mind. I was like, what's going on here? This is nuts.
You know, I haven't seen a lot of debris recently, but it was a couple of hours ago that all right. Sorry about that. Wow, that was a heck of a gust.
Quick update on your fantasy football. I know on the Doc and Jock program, we sat there and we discussed how you felt I sabotaged your team. How'd you do this week?
I got the W. Shockingly, despite your attempts and your stepfather's attempts at sabotaging the league and changing up the rules, I needed Sam Bradford to go off, and I didn't watch because I was a little nervous. I'm like, okay, he needs about 210 yards, a couple touchdowns. I threw it out there to the masses, and I said, hey, is he going to do it? Most said, oh, hell no. There's a chance, but it's not likely. But he came through at home, and I destroyed Henry. It was awesome.
So if you win the league this year, do I get half of the winnings? Is that how this works?
Probably a dinner will be involved. They'll be gloating at the highest level because of the fact that, hey, I didn't even draft the team, and somehow or another I won the game. And it sucks for Henry because you changed the rules up and you still couldn't beat me. So that was cool.
Well, here's the deal. I ended up getting absolutely destroyed by your wife. Just annihilated. My bench, 2 players on my bench, 2 players outscored 9 other guys on my team, 65 to 59. So I absolutely did nothing this week. It was brutal.
Which in the end, you made the solid point. Week 1, you don't win or lose your fantasy league just like that in week 1. Last year, I destroyed you by 80 points, and you still had a relatively solid season. So it's just 1 week.
I had a horrible season last season.
But hey, it wasn't. What are you gonna do? Did you make the playoffs? I forgot.
No
playoffs.
No. It was absolutely bad. Like I made the toilet bowl and I finished in second in the toilet bowl. It was absolutely awful. I might have a brutal season. I don't know. My number 1 overall pick, right? David Johnson.
Bad luck.
He's dead. Done. Absolutely brutal. I don't know. This season's awful already.
And some points of reference that I've made to other people and asked is that because of what happened with David Johnson, does it make you think about, well, maybe I should peek into these one-day leagues and see about these contests through DraftKings or other sites like that, because of the fact that I could see the appeal where, look, now you have David Johnson. Everybody in the nation that drafted him number 1 has to look for an alternative, and it could ruin your season because of the fact that now he's on the shelf, he's on the mend. But one day you just, screw it, I got to pick somebody else up.
What about not even David Johnson? What about Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, there's another guy. I mean, he ended up going in the 3rd round in our draft, and that was only because everybody assumed that he was going to be suspended for 6 games, maybe 4 if they sat there and they lowered it. And now it looks like he's going to play the entire season.
On again, off again, it's going to be crazy. So Henry got the luck factor there in that he drafted him and started him against me. But luckily, versus the Giants, he didn't do a whole heck of a lot. No touchdowns, and maybe, I think, would he get like 100 yards and some passing yards as well?
Yeah.
Nothing serious.
He had a solid game compared to David Johnson, that's for sure.
Sucks for you, though.
It does. Speaking of
what are your options? What are your options? What are you going to do to replace him? What'd you do?
Picked up Kerwin Williams.
Oh, that's Kerwin Williams.
Right.
That's him? Oh, okay, cool.
So I picked him up, and you know what? I had Kareem Hunt on my bench, so I'm in okay position there.
That's
so
not
as long
bad.
as Kareem Hunt can ball out, I mean, I'm not expecting 42 points a week from him, but if he can give me, 10, 15 every single week, I'm going to be okay.
Ooh, you were on the cusp of having Kareem Hunt and David Johnson. You might have had yourself a stellar team there. Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's the way I looked at it too, and not so much anymore. But you know what? I have no receivers. I have 0 wide receivers. I mean, Eric Decker is like my best guy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, sucks. Absolutely sucks. So speaking of things that sucked, on Monday night, the nightcap of Monday Night Football's doubleheader, you definitely had the B team doing the Los Angeles Chargers at the Denver Broncos game. The game had Beth Moen on play-by-play, which is atrocious, Rex Ryan on color, which is even worse, but the star of the show was Sergio Dip, who had a total of about 30 seconds on screen during the broadcast, but he captured the nation with this breakdown of the new Denver head coach, Vance Joseph.
Beth, Coach, it's a pleasure to be with you guys here on the field from up close, just watching Coach Vance Joseph from here. You watch him now on the screen. This diversity in his background is helping him a lot tonight. Quarterback at Colorado, defensive back in the NFL, and here he is having the time of his life this night, making his head coaching debut.
Had the time of my life. No, I never felt like this before. Yes, I swear it's a...
Oh, bro. Damn. That's a fuck up on epic proportions, my man. Oh, my God.
Dude, so bad. So bad, but it's so good. Like, honestly, he saved that entire broadcast because, like I said before, complete and utter shit show with Beth Moen and Rex Ryan. Like, Rex Ryan is not good at what he does, and Beth Moen is even worse at what she does. And this guy comes in, and he basically salvaged the broadcast with that awful, awful report. So brutal, man. I mean, the best part, Twitter had a field day, and you love Twitter. The one thing that you absolutely love is Twitter. Have you seen any of these responses to this?
I've seen a ton of them. I've basically seen all of them. Unbelievable. At the same time, Bob Lee, his colleague at ESPN, went off and was like, hey, you know, I tried to do an interview in Spanish and had to cut it off after 30 seconds because I couldn't handle it. So for you to, disrespect a guy that's my colleague, lay off all you trolls. But at the same time, all you got to do is look within your own organization, Bob Lee. A lot of the ripping came from other media members who said, look, we are working our asses off to build a brand to try and potentially have an opportunity to talk for 3 minutes to the nation. And you put this guy out there. So other journalists were pissed off to the high heavens too, because it makes your field look bad when a guy is obviously a little bit underprepared, and he kind of delivers that message at that time. So a lot of people in the media field were ripping him as well, but it was funny because it brings back some of the other, really awful broadcasts in terms of people that were underqualified, and especially the boom goes the dynamite guy goes, damn, I can't get out of this. Every time there's something bad that goes on, people bring up, and boom goes the dynamite.
Later, he gets the rebound, passes it to the man, shoots it, and boom goes the dynamite.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that look into sports, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and speaking of the boom goes the dynamite guy, Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter said, boom goes the dynamite guy, I'll never be overshadowed. Sergio Dip, hold my beer. So, I mean, like the Twitter fallout, like it was good. I think it was good, playful ribbing, and this guy took a lot of it. Michael David Smith, if ESPN doesn't use Sergio Dip in the second half, they'll be missing out on a huge opportunity. Everyone loves a good comeback story, and that's from Michael Smith, like the Michael Smith who does ESPN at the 6 with Jamil Hill. Like that's that guy.
Yeah.
So like, he was pro Sergio Dip here. Sam Vinci replaced the bottom score ticker with just one-timers of Sergio Dip in returning to air. I'm not even kidding. Like everybody wanted to see this guy again, and ESPN never, ever came back to him.
I'm going to drop the mic in terms of what the best response was. Okay, on your Twitter page, go to CHATDET Sports. Okay, because I retweeted the drop the mic comment, and it was unbelievable. It was a response to, I think, a Michael David Smith as well. Someone made a fake Ian Rappaport Twitter account, and the response that they had to Sergio Trip was amazing. And when I saw it, I just started dying laughing. It's under tweets and replies, I believe. It'll have the retweet. It'll say, I can't stop laughing. I'll help you find it too. But it was unbelievable in terms of the responses. People across the board either came to his defense or they were kind of ripping him for the lack of quality reporting there. So it's one of those things where, in that situation, you just can't go out there and perform like that. You just can't. You cannot go out there if you're Sergio. And if you're uncomfortable, you got to say, I'm not ready for this. I can't handle this. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean...
You see it? You find it?
No, my computer just froze.
Of course it would.
No, you're right. And especially with it being ESPN and they're the largest provider of sports to the nation, you would assume that they would sit there and do a little bit better job vetting. Now, I mean, this guy had a total breakdown, but these things happen. I mean, have you ever had a moment in your life where you totally just lost it on the spot? Like, if you ever had to give a speech, like a best man speech, and you just kind of get nervous and you just kind of, everything just kind of goes blank and you just black out, essentially? You ever had something like this happen? Like, I've had it happen to me. And if you listen to the Doc and Jock show, I mean, I told this the time that I had to do my very first helicopter traffic report, and I got the direction of I-94 wrong. I said I-94 northbound. I-94 doesn't go northbound; it goes east or west. I had the wrong lanes blocked. The entire accident was screwed up. If you were looking for a traffic report that day, good luck, because I totally crapped the bed.
Okay,
totally crapped the bed.
Before I answer your question, I'm going to highlight it to you here on my computer. So Michael David Smith has a tweet, and the fake Ian Rappaport comes back with, dude, Sergio.
Oh, no.
Sergio, your tweet made me just come in my pants. I saw that, and I was rolling. I'm like,
no.
Oh, my God. And Michael David Smith's tweet was, Sergio Dip tweets, and a fake Ian Rappaport replies, and I think I'm done for Twitter for the night. Sergio, your expert analysis made me come in my pants.
Oh.
Was the highlight. That's why you love Twitter, because if you take it seriously, then you're going to be probably miserable as a human being, because it's just a cesspool of trolls. It basically is worse than a 24-hour news cycle, because if you do something crazy on the internet, it's instant, and it goes viral in like 3 seconds. But I think that the way that Sergio handled it was appropriate, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But for me, when we talk to bigger name guests or when we talk to important people on the podcast, I always want to sound like I know what I'm doing and things like that. So I do get a little bit more nervous, like I said on the Doc and Jock podcast. But the more you talk to people, the more you realize, look, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. It's kind of funny to look at. And so the best thing you can do is not take yourself seriously. Assume that, look, I'm a mess up. I'm just a regular human being, and I'm talking to former Tiger manager Jim Leland. So when you go from that perspective, it's just a blessing for him to go, hello, Mr. Leland, it's John McEnroe. And he's like, yes, and he just doesn't hang up. Right. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
He's like, oh, wait, you said Detroit Sports Podcast? Click. You know what I mean? To have, and I hope I never get jaded to the point where I don't get as excited as I am when I open up an email and it's like, sure, you want Jim Leland? Sure, he'll come on your podcast. And I get super excited, like, wow, Jim Leland's coming on our podcast. Whereas maybe others are like, okay, we got Jim Leland. Okay, we got Brad Osmus. Okay, we're going to go to this commercial. Da, da, da. I hope I never lose that excitement and passion. But I'm a self-deprecating kind of guy, so I don't care if I mess up because I make fun of myself worse than anybody. So I would have handled it the same way Sergio did, which would be Google how to handle being famous, or I would have been a little bit more brash and be like, how to Google when you fuck up royally. How to handle when you fuck up.
And you know what? That's the one thing that you can say. Sergio Dip does have a great sense of humor because he took it all in stride. Like you said, he sat there, posted a screenshot of a Google search bar with how to deal with fame. And he also sat there, and like you said on the Doc and Jock show, it seems like somebody maybe have gotten to him because he goes on to Twitter and he goes on to Instagram and he posts this video.
It's been a couple of hours now trying to digest what just happened to a 29-year-old Mexican guy like me. It's 9/11. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and this is the NFL. A Monday night football game between the Broncos and the Chargers. The biggest stage possible. I was studying my elementary school September 11, 2001 in Calexico, California. Born in Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico. But growing up in the American environment as a minority. A minority like head coaches Vance Joseph and Anthony Lynn. So what I wanted to do was to show some respect, making my debut as a minority on American national TV, the biggest stage out there, on the most heartfelt day in this great country made up by immigrants. And on some people's perspective, it all went wrong. But I truly meant no disrespect because all I wanted to do was to show some love to these two historical head coaches. Hopefully, I'll have another chance and be sure I'll make the most out of it.
Keep all the sharp objects away from that guy.
Yeah.
He sounds super depressed.
Exactly. I was thinking the whole time listening to that, dude, if he was, obviously you would assume that there's been some test runs, there's been some situations where he's had to do this, practice-wise. If a producer wasn't real with him, a producer should have said to him, dude, you can't go out there and sound like you're being held hostage. You sound like you got a terrorist behind you trying to slit your wrist or threatening to slit your neck. You can't sound like that. You got to sound more confident, more bold. And if that was what was being said in practice, look how he delivered that message. Like his speech tone, his cadence is unbelievably slow, and you can't put that on the air. Anybody that does, producing should have told him, look, whoa, you got to be more assertive. You got to be more bold. I need you to hit these bullet points. You can't go out there sounding like that. You can't. Yeah, he needed more practice, or he got screwed royally by his team.
And you know what? If you go back and you listen to what he said, his actual on-field report, and if you ever listen to anything on ESPN Deportes, there's a little bit of that ESPN Deportes flair with the whole having the time of his life.
Had the time of my life. No, I never felt like this before. Yes, I swear it's a truth.
That's kind of how they do their thing. I just think it was a grander stage. It was a little bit uncomfortable for him because it is in English. This is something brand new to him. It's his very first time on ESPN. It's his very first time reporting on American football. You know what I'm saying? It's a grand stage, and he bobbled the ball.
Fumble, huge problem. Like, I don't think the Instagram video needed to happen at all.
I don't either.
You sound weak.
Either.
I don't like that kind of stuff.
What he posted with the Google search, how to handle fame, perfect.
That's it. Drop it and move on.
Mic drop. Done.
That's it.
You're done. Move on. It's all over. No big deal.
Because in the grand scheme of things, you just wait 24 hours. Something else is going to pop off. Someone's going to get fired. Someone's going to do something in the world of sports that's idiotic, and it's going to end. So that's why what I would do is it's real simple. When something bad happens, my counsel to people would be just look, turn off your phone for a day. Just watch some television. Go to your producer and be like, dude, I messed that up. How could I do better next time? And you critique yourself. Honestly, you don't watch any of the news. You don't watch any of the Twitter. 24 hours later, something else like Ted Cruz coming along will come and something will take over. Did you see that?
Ted Cruz is great, liking porn videos.
Things got unexpectedly steamy for Senator Cruz on Monday when his official Twitter account was caught liking an X-rated porn video from the account Sexual with 2 L's Posts. And I hate to say it, part of my scrolling habits on Twitter includes that same account.
Really?
SUSEXUALL Posts. So I've
I've never checked that one out.
It's pretty good. There's a couple out there on Twitter where the whole feed is just videos, 3-minute videos. And so I wanted to ask you, have you ever accidentally liked something on Twitter or hit reply all and messed up where you go, ooh, I never go with the notion of, it was hacked. And Senator Ted Cruz tried to potentially say, oh, well, there's a lot of people, that have access to my accounts and things like that. But, on Twitter, if you hit like, I can't believe people actually found it. That means people are actually scrolling your stuff and find out on your feed that you're liking adult content. I've just been like, oops, and keep it moving.
No, not on
You don't make
Twitter.
social media mistakes.
No, well, I haven't.
Okay.
And here's the thing: there's 2 that I visit frequently. One is called Ass Addicts, which is
really?
good.
Oh, really?
You should check that one out. And I like Booty Daily.
Okay,
that one's a good one too. And I always make sure I don't like anything on there because I don't want that popping up into my Twitter feed.
Right.
But I do check them out regularly.
See?
So, but yes, I've never had that happen to me.
See, it's one of those things where, do you believe that it was an aid, or you think maybe he was getting his freak on?
Here's the thing. He's like super right-wing, like Christian, right? So I don't think that he would check something like that. It was probably an aide or it was an intern. And that's what I'm thinking, just because his whole just belief system and the way he is, it's just, that seems like it's just totally out of left field for me. And like, he probably is a closet freak at home. You know what I'm saying? Probably got a ball gag and he's probably got a strap on that gets used on him. You don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But just super left wing or super right wing. So I don't think that that's his forte. So yeah, I think it was probably an intern. I don't think it got hacked. I think it was an intern or an aide. Somebody sitting there goofing around looking at something they shouldn't have been looking at and accidentally liked something. You know what I'm saying?
Understood. I think it's funny that in terms of Twitter, Jimmy Kimmel has fun with it. Everyone that kind of is peeking at people's accounts and stuff and what people post, but something that's liked, that takes a little bit of effort to kind of find it.
Yeah, a little bit different. I'm not sure. All right, let's step out. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some protests that are going on in the Detroit area and whether or not it's valid and whether it should even be going on. So stick with us. We'll be right back after this break. All right, guys, if you love Detroit sports, I've got the place for you. It's right here on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. You're going to want to check us out at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. And we talk about all the great action that's going on in the Detroit area following your teams like the Red Wings, the Tigers, the Pistons, your Lions. I mean, look, football season's underway, so you're going to want to check out everything that's going on. We've got the inside scoop. So check us out on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network at DetroitSportsPodcast.com. On Tuesday, Little Caesars Arena made its long-awaited debut when Detroit's own Kid Rock opened the venue for his first and its very first show, but it didn't come without any controversy. People lined up outside of the LCA to protest the selection of Kid Rock as the debuting act, citing racism due to Kid Rock's support of Donald Trump, his outspokenness on Colin Kaepernick sitting for the national anthem, and his use of the Confederate flag. Reverend Charles Williams II stated that Rock speaks out to racist organizations and the fact that LCA was developed with taxpayer dollars from a city that is predominantly black is a big mistake.
This is the straw that broke the camel's back. When you hire Kid Rock, who is known to be dog whistling and catcalling to white supremacist organizations and white supremacist community, alt-right, whatever you want to call them, and you take our tax dollars to do that, that's wrong.
Thank you to MSN.com for the audio. This took on a life of its own when the Detroit Free Press published an editorial column by Stephen Henderson on September 2nd titled, Kid Rock opener at Little Caesars Arena is a middle finger to Detroiters. In the article, Henderson went on to say that this is a musician who got rich off crass cultural appropriation of black music, who used to wrap his brand in the Confederate flag, a symbol intrinsically linked to racism no matter what its defenders say, and who has repeatedly issued profane denouncements of the very idea of African Americans pushing back against American inequality. Henderson wrote, noting that his argument had nothing to do with whether or not Kid Rock's music was good, but rather the culture he represents or what people, right or wrong, perceive him to represent. Look, Kid Rock is a Detroit icon, and people protesting Kid Rock as the selection to open up this venue, it strikes me as, is this even necessary? Is this right? I think Stephen Henderson's trying to sit there and almost make a straw man argument here for what he's talking about. And then that really just bolstered everything, and people end up standing outside of LCA and just protesting.
But do you know what the main critiques from the black community, those that are opposed to Kid Rock, what they say? They call him a poser. They say that you've lifted our music, you're shady, you went out there and you represent this thing, and you're not one of us. So that's what Kid Rock has battled. Now, I don't agree with that personally, because I think it's either good music or bad music. And so for me, Kid Rock has a couple of hits that I enjoy, but by and large, his music is not my cup of tea. But people in the black community feel like he profited off their work and is a poser. So they're not really thrilled that the opening act, in terms of what has happened and what he said and done in the past, and he does have right-wing tendencies, and they've labeled him as a conservative or labeled him as a Republican. So obviously, they're not happy at all that he's been able to profit from Little Caesars Arena. He's able to have what's called a pseudo-residency there by having 6 concerts. He's making a boatload of money when you have this arena that is publicly funded in the city of Detroit. So it's not Kid Rock's fault. Look, this is America, bro. If you're going to give me $500,000 for 2 weeks of work, I'm taking it. And I don't care what people are going to say. So Kid Rock, all credit to him for earning that opportunity. I take it up a notch and go, Little Caesars Arena, Olympia Entertainment. Look, you can have Kid Rock there for 6 shows at any time. You don't do that to start off your venture. What you do is you potentially say, look, Kid Rock, you can have 6 shows, but that first one, we want Motown. We want Eminem. We want a collective involvement, inclusive with other acts as well. I think for Olympia Entertainment, they probably made a misstep. And unfortunately, I hate to say it across the microphone, but it'll always be the case, and you have to own it. Money trumps race. Money trumps class. Money trumps decisions. Money trumps politics. Olympia Entertainment said, oh, okay, who potentially could sell out 6 shows and get us a boatload of money to start? That's all they care about. And I hate to say it. I hate to go that route because, I obviously have, a lot of interest in social things and equality and all those kind of things. But at the same time, the way I perceive it is I understand the value of the dollar. And those in Olympia Entertainment, they wanted the cash grab. They wanted to kick it off with the bang, and they didn't care about representing Detroit. They just didn't.
I think you're right on. And I don't think Kid Rock was the right choice to sit there and open up this brand new stadium, to open up this new arena and everything that went along with it. I don't think he was the guy that should have been selected to initially sit there and basically pop the cork on the champagne bottle here. But again, I think some of the protesting is unfounded. I mean, the whole thing with the Confederate flag, he stopped using the Confederate flag in 2011 after he received an award for the NAACP. I mean, come on. Like, if you're an African American, like, that is the organization that generally represents you to get things done for the advancement of the black culture. I mean, and they sat there and they gave him an award. I don't think that you sitting there being upset about him being the act because he supports Donald Trump. Like, look, we all have differences in who we want to be president or how we feel the president's doing. I mean, I myself don't think the president's doing a very good job. That's just me. I'm not going to sit there and go protest somebody who thinks that he is. And we all have different ideas on what's going on with the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick and kneeling for the national anthem. I mean, my regular co-host for this show, me and him, very different ideas on this, and we go back and forth about it all the time. It's just one of those things where Kid Rock has a much larger stage and a much larger microphone than we do to sit there and talk about these things and to express his points of view on these things. I don't think you protesting this Kid Rock concert or his 6 shows it is necessarily a smart idea because, look, his daughter's black. I don't think he's a racist. I don't think he hates black people. And whether or not you like his music or whether or not you think his music's any good, that's totally different. There's a lot of musicians that I don't like their music. I mean, there's a lot of black musicians I don't like their music. There's a lot of white musicians I don't like their music. You know, it doesn't speak to me.
And so here's the part, though, that I do give the protesters credit. You know, I think we were a shining example of how to peacefully protest something that you're against. You go out there, the police were very calm. By all accounts, they were very cordial, very professional. They kept it, and there were bikers there. There was opposition to the protesters. There was no violence. By all accounts, I didn't see anybody report that there were punches thrown. We can debate legally, responsibly, non-violently, and I think Detroit showed that. And those that oppose it, I can respect that. But at the same time, Kid Rock has a right in terms of what he did to ban the free press from coming in. Because if you have the ability, if it's in your agreement that I can let in whoever I want to cover it, that's on Olympia Entertainment for allowing it to happen. So Kid Rock is not to blame for any of this because here's the thing. He's not forcing you to buy a ticket. Don't support him. If you don't want to go, don't buy the ticket. If you want to go and protest, I agree with people's right to protest non-violently. So if you want to take your time and do it, I'm not a protesting guy. I'm more of a decision guy. So if I like you, I support you and give you cash or show you some kind of endorsement in any way I can. If I don't, then I don't. And that's just the way I would do it. I don't even think I have time 7:30 on a random Tuesday to go out there and protest something. So either I'm with you or against you. And if I'm against something, I'll just speak on it and say, here's where it could be different. If you're against Kid Rock and the things that he says, then you have every right to protest and not support him financially.
Were you surprised that there was absolutely no violence that took place? Because
I was surprised.
As this was all unfolding, and I was following a lot of it on Facebook and on Twitter, I thought for sure, dude, I was like, something bad's going to happen on Tuesday evening. Something awful is just going to occur, and it's just going to be a black eye for the city. And then you wake up in the morning and nothing happened. I mean, people were able to sit there and get their point across peacefully. They were able to do it in a respectful manner, and nothing got out of hand. The police did an admirable job handling all of it. I thought it was great. I thought that was outstanding. I thought that was a shining star for the city, something that could have went the complete opposite way. I do, however, think it's a bad look for people to be protesting a Detroit icon. Because Kid Rock, whether you like him or whether you don't like him, and if you think he's a racist or you don't, he is a Detroit icon. He's done a ton for the city. He's done a ton for the surrounding areas. He is the debuting act, and he is the guy who is sitting there opening up a newly iconic building. And look, the new Little Caesars Arena is iconic. It is, by all accounts, that deal. It's outstanding. And now you have people sitting there protesting and basically just kind of raking mud over what should have been an outstanding event and something that could have been an outstanding event.
Yeah, see, that's where it goes down to. Kid Rock has done some things, though. You can look at some of the positives that he's done. He's donated a lot of money to the city, brought awareness to a lot of different things. There are faults that he has, obviously, in terms of the rhetoric that he espouses sometimes, but at the same time, he has done some things for the city, and he's built up a relationship with Olympia Entertainment where they decided, hey, we'll put your restaurant in there, we'll support you. But it's just unfortunate that it wasn't more inclusive in terms of the different style of music for the city of Detroit, because that's the way people feel. Like, wow, okay, you got Kid Rock, and remember, the haters say, dude's not from Detroit, he's from Romeo.
Right.
That's the knock against him, is that, hey, this is a poser who's from Romeo who's acting like he's all about Detroit. But he is. He does care about, and that's the notion that I think is a misconception. People in the suburbs care about Detroit. We're going down there to support the city. And by spending money there, by allowing stuff to filter through Detroit, then it also helps the city by getting exposure and by turning the perception around. But at the same time, it does have to trickle down to the cities and to the school system as well. It just doesn't have to stop at downtown. It has to trickle out into the neighborhoods, and that has to be the next focus, which is, where is the money going to go? How is it going to help the city and the educational system and the citizens?
Do you have an issue with him using his concerts as a way to sit there and kind of promote his political agenda? I mean, during the concert, he basically broke away for a moment to sit there
and talking. And
yeah. Yep. Do you have an issue with him doing that?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the ex-senator of the great state of Michigan, Kid Motherfucker Rock.
Seems the government wants to give everyone health insurance, but wants us all to pay. And to be very frank, I really don't have a problem with that. Since God has blessed me and made my pockets fat. But a redistribution of wealth seems more like their plan. And I don't believe that you should save, sacrifice, do things by the book, and then have to take care of some deadbeat milk in the system, lazy ass motherfucking man.
Here's the thing. I don't like everything being politicized. I just think that, I know a little bit was satire, but that's his message. When you pay out the building, you know, you're paying some money to rent the building out and then take some money to do the job. So you can say and do whatever you want. I just don't like the message. I think it's funny that he's considering running for Senate or whatever he's considering. I don't think in the end he's actually going to do it. I think that's a way to keep his name out there and to kind of, it's a little bit of satire to say, look, I'm a caliber guy that could actually run and potentially even win. He could win to become a United States senator, as absurd as that sounds, but that's just the nature of the times, right? Where if you're a celebrity, they think, and it really is offensive, and it should be taken as a personal insult by these politicians that, wow, people think we're doing such a shitty job that musicians, that a real estate mogul is now the president of the United States. That's really because the perception is, and it's really reality, politicians don't do much but sit up there and debate. I mean, literally, it's like a session-long podcast where they just say, here's my opinion, there's my opinion, let's make a vote. Oh, we're gridlocked? Okay, here's my opinion on why this is right. Oh, here's my opinion why this is right. And in the end, people are wisening up and asking, okay, you guys can sit behind your tables and have all this rhetoric nonstop for days on end, but where's the pudding? Where's the results? Why are the roads still bad? Why is this happening? And that's what Donald Trump capitalized on was he just said, look, these politicians are whack. They don't do nothing. So I'm going to come in here. If you like it, great. If you don't, fine. I'm just going to do something and react to me. And that's just what it is. And it goes to show you that politicians have to get out of this, you know, stance of like getting gridlock and bureaucracy, and they got to get stuff done.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Look, mark my words. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson
is going to be president,
yes,
yeah.
The guy who drops the people's elbow and raises the people's eyebrow.
Yeah.
He will be president.
He'll be president. That's just the nature of the beast, and that's what politicians have to own, and the stain of their record in terms of not doing much but debating.
Yeah, I don't know. Something has to change. Not good. Look, you're totally unqualified. I like The Rock, but he is not qualified to sit there and be the president of the United States, and he's going to win. It's just how it is.
So I take it you're not going to go spend some money on Kid Rock?
No,
I've done it.
It's not my music, man.
But
it's
now,
not my thing.
In terms of my response to the protest,
I like Kid Rock when he was rapping with ICP on Carnival of Carnage. Like, Kid Rock, is that you? Yeah. And he came out like, yeah, motherfucker. Like, yeah, I like Kid Rock then.
Kid Rock, is that you? Yeah, let me tell you what I want to do. Kid Rock, is that you?
We went to one when it was $20 ticket at Comerica Park, and we got the nastiest secondhand high I think I've ever had in my life. And they cleared out a row in front of us because the plume of weed was just unbelievably strong. They cleared out a row. The police came and cleared out an entire 2 rows in front of us because people were just smoking weed.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that at just about any concert you go to. It's
exactly.
It's just kind of the way it is.
But that's how it is this day and age.
I mean, yeah, I don't look, man, Kid Rock is not my first choice for something like the LCA. Not the guy who I'm like, yeah, let's go and let's hitch our wagon to that guy and let's have him open up 6 shows. But he does do good things for the city. He makes his concerts affordable, and he does sit there and he does try to reach and make it so everybody can attend his show.
But he's a polarizing figure. He's a polarizing figure. He owns it. He embraces it.
He has become like our generation's Ted Nugent.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Ted Nugent's the same exact way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But Ted Nugent does concerts and he sits there and he tries to reach as many people as possible who can attend his shows. It's just the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
All right, let's step out real quick and we're going to take our final break and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some things that absolutely suck. So stick with us. Hey guys, if you like social media, boy, do I have a treat for you. We've got one of the most interactive social media sites around, and that's the Detroit Sports Podcast on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, and you can like us on Facebook at Detroit Sports Podcast. So check us out. Take a look, again, on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, and like us on Facebook at Detroit Sports Podcast, covering everything. If you like tweeting in between games and you like getting different information kicked out to you, you're going to want to check out both of those sites. Again, on Twitter at Detroit Podcast, and like us on Facebook at Detroit Sports Podcast. All right, guys, earlier this week, I had an unfortunate run of incidents, and all these took place at the gym on the same exact day. It was a trifecta of crap. First off, I had awkward handshakes. Have you ever had this happen to you where you go in for a handshake or you go in for a fist bump and it's just a total mess? It's like
Obviously.
just a cluster.
Yeah, sometimes when you put your hand out and the guy doesn't do nothing, you're like, oh, okay. Or the big diss.
Yes. See, for me, I went for hand out. And I had fist bumps, you know what I'm saying? And then that was with one guy. Another guy, I went for fist bumps. He put his hand out. It was a total mess this week at the gym. I was embarrassed, and I shouldn't have been embarrassed. And it was absolutely brutal. 3 different separate occasions this happened for me.
Crazy. Let me ask you this. When you're at the grocery store and they have the self-checkout, do you use it?
Yes.
I never really do. So earlier on Wednesday, I'm like, okay, I got to get batteries for the recorder here that we use for the podcast. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to step out and go to Target. And I go into the Target, and obviously they're doing a little bit of training. I go pick up the batteries, and I pick up a case for my phone. I'm like, I don't want to really wait in line. There's like maybe 2 people at each station. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go use the self-checkout. I don't like it. It's technology. I just think that sometimes if I'm in a pinch and I'm in a rush, I'll do it. So I go in there and it costs $27.99, or it costs $27.01. Okay, so I plop in a 50 and something that's never happened to me before. Okay, it's $27.01. I put in 50. You're now entitled to get $22.01. Kicks out $2 and stops.
What?
It kicks out 2 ones and it says, oh, get the teller. I'm like, what do you mean get the teller? So I get the teller and she's looking and I'm in a pinch because I wanted to get back here in time to start the recording. So I'm sitting there waiting, and she's fiddling around going, what happened? I said, the machine owes me $20.99. I'm like, okay. So what she does is she fiddles around to try to get it open, and she goes, oh, okay, it must have been stuck. And I'm like, dude, okay, fine, whatever. So does she just hand me $20 from the machine and just let me leave about my weight? No. What she does is she has to take the $10 out, unstuck it, put it back in, close it.
Oh, the machine's got to kick it out.
It's got to kick it out to me. And so because it reads, it'll say, push the button. It'll say, machine owes customer $20. I'm like, dude, you can make this easier by just handing me a 20 spot and letting me be about my merry way. But no, she does. And then boom, nothing happens. And I'm sitting there and she's like, okay. So she asks the lady next to her, do you got change? She's like, no. So no help there. So she fiddles it again and it kicks out the $20, no 99 cents. Okay, she's looking again, has to open it again, and there's no change. So she has to find change, make me wait an additional 12 minutes.
How long did this transaction take?
It took me 4 seconds to swipe it and pay. So the transaction took 12 minutes. And I bought 2 items, and I was sitting there waiting, and I'm like, of course. And this is what I deserve when I'm in a rush, is that when you're trying to do something and you're rushing, some stupid-ass roadblock gets in your way, to make you late. And I was calm and laughing, but I said, I wanted to say, like, look, can you just hand me a 20 spot? I'll be about my merry way. Keep the 99 cents. Or, hey, hit me with $1 and let me be about my merry way. But no, it's all computerized. It's all documented in terms of the till. The till is actually talking to the lady. We owe him 99 cents. Well, good. I just give me the $1 so I can get about my merry way. But no, she was not allowed to just.
Yeah, it's got to be exact.
It's sitting. She's not allowed to reach in there and grab the 20. I mean, sitting right there. She could take the money out, but she took it back down, closed it, waited for it to kick out, and then it says, we owe the customer $0. And it's like, oh my God. I just hate when that happens, when you're in a rush and you assume something's going to take a minute and it takes 15 times as long as it should.
Yeah,
that's the worst. So I don't do it. It's just sometimes fun to, at the same time, interact with the tellers, and it's just unfortunate.
That's brutal.
It is.
When I was wrapping up to leave the gym, I had this situation happen to me. I had a guy who sat there, was getting ready to walk out and go onto the gym floor, and he decided it was a good idea to sit there and loudly crop dust on the way out of the locker room. Mind you, I'm basically in tow. I'm putting my water bottle in my gym bag, and now I have to walk through this plume of stink. Yeah, I was flabbergasted. I was like, are you serious, dude? Like, you see me getting ready to exit, and there's only one entrance and one exit here. There's only one way we can get in and out, and you're just going to sit there and you're going to leave me in this trail of disgusting filth? I was like, you're an asshole. Like, thanks a lot. It was the one that took the cake, though. And this is how I should have knew that I was going to be a bad day at the gym for me. I walk in, I sit there, I change, I put all my stuff in my locker, and I'm sitting there getting ready to go to the bathroom because the bathroom is just kind of off of the locker room area where the lockers are. So I have to go take a quick pee before I go onto the gym floor. So I get done putting all my stuff away, and I'm walking into the bathroom. And when I walk into the bathroom, there's 3 sinks, 2 urinals that are facing the sinks. And as I walk in, there's a guy in a towel. He's got the towel basically up past his belly button, just under his nips. And he's got his basically legs spread, and the towel is kind of like cracked in the middle there. And I see him fiddling around, and I'm like, what the hell? And next thing you know, I see he's got his penis in his hands.
What are you doing? What exactly are you doing?
And I'm like, what the hell? He's pulling back the foreskin, and I'm not sure if he's cleaning his junk or if he's applying an ointment to his unit. I have no idea what's going on, but I do see him sitting there fiddling with his penis, and I'm watching all of this, and I'm just like, what the fuck? What I just walk into?
What has my life become? Why is this happening?
And at that moment, I should have just turned around and I should have just walked out of the gym, because I would have avoided the 3 awkward handshakes. I would have avoided the guy sitting there crop dusting me. I mean, my brain is now scarred, and forever I will know what this man's unit looks like, because he was just sitting there he wasn't even like off on like the corner of one of the sinks. No, he was right in the middle, playing with his dinghy.
I think you've seen more penis than some porn stars that I know.
Generally, yes. Yes. Lisa Ann ain't got nothing on me,
right.
bro.
Exactly.
I've seen so much dick at the gym.
It's unbelievable.
It's so brutal.
I've been lucky to avoid that, and that you just kind of keep your head down, stare at the locker, so you don't really see any of that.
I normally that's what I do, right?
Stare at the locker, man.
But I turn the corner, and this is what I turn the corner into. Just this guy with just his hands, and just, I mean, if I could draw you a picture of what this looks like, it's just like, he's got his legs spread, and he's basically got his pelvis tilted up, and he's just holding his little unit, and he's just peeling back the skin, and I'm like,
what exactly are you doing?
Oh my God, that's a mess. Like why? What are you doing? And the thing about our gym is they've got, like, if you need like a private area, they've got like a private area where you can sit there and you can do whatever you got to do, lock it, no big deal. Or you could just sit there and you could use the stall. You could use the shitter and it'll be okay. But no, this guy wants to do it right out there in the open. Old men don't care.
Yeah,
they don't give an F at all.
Oh, man, this was fun to sit in Jay's seat. How'd I do?
You did good, man. I appreciate you sitting in. I appreciate getting your perspective on things. Hey, man, thank you so much for filling in. It's hard to do a podcast by yourself. It is hard to talk.
It is hard sometimes. And so I think, we can do this again sometime. Have me on. No problem.
Awesome.
I'll be a drunken, rambling man sometimes. Why not?
Madman, yeah.
I'll be a madman sometimes.
There you go.
Now, what is it? I think before we get out of here, what is it that he drinks? It's always stuff that I've never heard of.
It's always different things.
Yeah.
Always different. It became a bit because...
Yeah.
The first week it was one thing. The next week it was something different.
Yeah.
And the way he's got to loosen up. His very first show, he was so nervous.
Yeah, he's gotten better. He's comfortable now, free flowing. I'm lucky. We were lucky to have him. I like his voice. I like the way he delivers things. I like the way he debates you. It's pretty good. It's a good show. Every Friday, Detroit Sports Podcast. We're lucky to have Jay and the DR2M family. It's good.
Yeah, man, it was good. Hey, thanks for sitting in, and thanks for doing this, and thanks for letting me call an audible and bring you into this. So we'll see you when we see you.
Hopefully Jay's nuts heal from the surgery.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
Bada boom! Realest guys in the room.
He's pulling back the foreskin, and I'm not sure if he's cleaning his junk or if he's applying an ointment to his unit.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo.
Are you idiots still even here?